We're over here on the ECM side of the engine, and we'd like to walk through and take a look at some components that you're familiar with and some that are new for 2007. Let's start right here with the air compressor. While the air compressor is not new, it is a CAT air compressor. Now moving up to the top here from the air compressor, we're going to find one of the new sensors that we've added. Now this tells you if your OCV filter, your open crankcase ventilation filter, is full and needs to be changed. And let's just walk right back to part of the engine, we'll find the OCV filter. So that sensor tells you if this thing needs to be changed. Now moving on down, you'll see some of the valving for the CRS system. You'll see the ECM, which we've had for lots of years now. Coming back around, we'll see the port for the CRS head cleaning fluid. And finally, we're going to end up with this little item down here. This is the purge air pump. It is used to keep the CRS head clean. Now, the only real reason I want to talk to you about this is something that may happen to you or you may discover in your normal operation. And that is that this may run after the key has been turned off and the engine shut down. What happens is if the engine is in a regeneration, which you may or may not know because you may or may not have a light, okay? So it's in regeneration and you're pulling the truck in at the end of the shift, you're going to park it and turn the key off. Well, if it's in that regeneration, this pump may run up to 10 minutes after you've turned the key off. Now, it just has a little purring sound, and so, but you may notice it because when everything's quiet. And that is to make sure it runs to make sure that everything is cleaned out from the CRS system so it's ready for the next time. We're over here on the turbo side of the engine. You can see that we are still using series turbocharging on the heavy-duty engines, the C13, C15. You can see the wastegate, but probably what's going to catch your eye is this large housing right after the turbo. Now this is the CRS housing. Inside of here is where the flame is that heats the exhaust to regenerate the DPF when that's needed. Up top here you can start to see some of the thermocouples. Here's the spark plug, and you see these lines that are bringing fuel, and they're bringing purge air, and they're bringing some coolant to keep this cool. And in this large line here is the oxygen, or the free air, oxygen that is needed for combustion. Now that oxygen comes up, if we follow that line all the way up to the front of the engine, comes from right here. Now in this line right here is boosted air. So you've got boosted air, and this hydraulically actuated, electronically controlled valve is going to adjust the amount of free air that comes back into this system, back to the CRS head to create the flame. So moving on to the last component now for the CRS system is the coil. Remember I said we had our spark plug, so this is a coil. So now that brings us to this area right here, which is the CGI system, the clean gas induction. Now there'll be a line running up to this from the clean side of the DPF. We bring that clean gas up. We bring it through a venturi, which just allows us to measure how much we're bringing back, and we don't use more than 15%. We bring it back, take it through a cooler, cool it down a little bit, and then bring it back up and let that clean gas come back into the system right here by this electronically controlled, hydraulically actuated flapper valve that modulates and allows that clean gas to be brought back into the system to reduce NOx. So we've moved over to a C13, and I really just want to show you about the only difference. Remember that both engines have a CRS system, they both have the CGI system, but the C13 has 2 oil filters. And why is that? Well, when we put the CGI cooler in here, we had to drop where the filter screwed on. By doing that, we got down here in the steering axle area, and so we couldn't have one long one. Now we have 2 shorter ones. You replace them both at the same time. We have them packaged so you order them, you get 2 filters, you spin them off, and like I say, you replace both of them. And just as an added, we've made the price of the two filters just slightly more than one larger one that you would use in the C15.